So you guys know I got involved in a lot of kind of fairy activities, running around and doing a lot of other exercises other than the cool ones. Without the slingshot, that kind of weight right there for that amount of reps wouldn't be possible. And so the slingshot is allowing me to handle a little bit more weight for a little bit more reps. I'm going to do multiple sets. The other thing that it's doing, I have, make sure this is an accurate statement, I have zero pain while I'm doing it. There's pressure, and I'm, there's a lot of that going on, a lot of noise going on, but zero pain. So in between bench pressing today, I'm just doing a little bit of plyometric jumps and doing some deadlifting. It's been a long time. It's been years since I deadlifted, so I've been deadlifting 225 for the last maybe 3 weeks or so. And I'm not going to add weight. I'm not going to add weight until it feels right. It hasn't felt, today is the best it's felt by far. So it's feeling better, but if you're not doing the exercise correctly, there's really not a lot of great reasons to add weight, except for to maybe hurt yourself. So it's great to challenge yourself, but you want the exercise to also feel correct to you as well. So yeah, I'm just doing some jumps, and this is super simple. Before you go and try to be heroic and jump on something and hurt yourself, just jump up in the air. So what I'm doing is a simple kind of box squat, hip flexor, and usually on the first one, I'll just do something real easy, just a little gentle jump, and then I'll put more into it. The more elastic my body gets, the more athletic I get over time, the more I should be able to just sort of jump right into it. But my ligaments, my tendons and stuff, things aren't bouncy. They're not as elastic as I need them to be quite yet, so I'm just taking my time with this kind of stuff. So just here, flex the hip flexors, and jump. Here, flex the hip flexors, jump. And I'm trying to get full extension. So I'm trying to flex my butt, drive my hips forward, and I'm also really trying to emphasize sort of a flick down into the ground with the toes. So you only need a couple of those. 3 to 5 reps or so is all you need, and just make sure over a period of time that you learn to push into it more and more. Really try to recruit those muscle fibers. So one of the best ways to feel good is just to take care of yourself. So I don't mind putting on some knee sleeves, elbow sleeves, things like that. These are our raw sleeves. And this compression, even though it's a slight compression, is going to give me a little bit of tension through the knee. Helps with some proprioception, just sort of knowing how your knee is moving and so forth. But in addition to that, it's providing warmth, and it's providing a little bit of strength. It's going to help you to be a little bit stronger. One, because you have more confidence, but two, in my belief, a compressed muscle is going to be a little bit stronger. So that's why for years, bodybuilders, powerlifters, that's why that you see them using knee wraps. And there's powerlifting meets nowadays where people use knee sleeves to break all-time world records often, because this is assisting with how much weight you can lift. But it's not cheating. I think a lot of people think is that taken away from my lift? To me, this is a huge added bonus, because you're going to be able to recover from your workouts a little bit easier. There's going to be less damage during the workouts. The key to working out is to get a little bit of damage just from the muscles, but the ligaments and tendons want to keep them healthy. So keep them warm and keep them strong by keeping them under wraps with some elbow sleeves or knee sleeves. On the bench press. It's really easy to get confused. There's a lot of information out there on strength training protocols, a lot of information out there on hypertrophy protocols, and the literature is pretty clear. It does show that 10 to 12 sets per week per muscle group can be effective. So in other words, you're trying to make your biceps bigger, you would want to do 5 sets one day and 5 sets another, or 10 sets on one day. Sounds reasonable. However, what if you're new? Well, or what if you haven't really developed a lot of consistency with this? Do you need 10 sets? And also, you have to keep in mind sometimes these studies and some of this information is about what's optimal. So what's optimal and what might actually fit into your lifestyle, those could be two different things. So it's just something to keep in mind. And I hate the fact that sometimes people get discouraged about something as simple as walking. They're like, I don't have an hour every day to walk. Walking an hour every day would be tremendous if you could figure it out. If you could figure out a way to devote an hour every day to walking, that would be great, whatever way you had to split it up. I think everyone would agree that that's a pretty healthy endeavor for almost everybody. However, what if it just doesn't fit into your lifestyle, if you don't have that time to dedicate to it? And so sometimes because people can't do the hour workout, or sometimes because people can't do the 10 sets per muscle group every single week, a lot of times they don't do anything at all because they get frozen by the, you kind of get analysis paralysis. Just because you can't devote that amount of time to doing something, now you just kind of give up. And I hate seeing that. And so I want you to remember this. A little bit goes a long way, and a little bit will always count, always, all the time, and forever. So even if you only did 3 sets of something, it's perfectly fine. And again, if you're new to it, you're still going to grow and you're still going to get stronger. Couple reps here. So as I set up, I'm trying to, because I'm lifting off for myself too, I'm going to breathe a certain way, then I'm going to brace. And as I bring the weight down, at some point I'm going to hold my breath. And then with every time that I press, I'm not only going to let air out, but I'm going to kind of do so aggressively. Can always squeeze out one more, I think, I think always. Hopefully I'll always be able to do that. Well, maybe not. Hey, I did it enough to get it to the rack, right? Whoa. Oh, I owe everybody one more rep. So now I gotta rest for a second. That was an aggressive pause at the bottom there. How much weight is the slingshot going to assist somebody? Slingshot's going to assist you by approximately 10%. However, this guy here is the money shot, so it might give you a 15% boost. How is the slingshot helping? What is it doing? At the bottom of the bench press is the least advantageous position of a bench press until 2010. When I created the slingshot, and it helped solve that problem forever. Now the most advantageous position of a bench press is at the bottom, because now that shoulder is stretched, the slingshot is stretched, the muscles are stretched, and the slingshot is locked and loaded as well as yourself. And then you're going to be able to press through that, and then you have to take it over by yourself. That's why that last lockout was such a bitch, because I got no more help from the slingshot. It's all me. So sometimes people think, oh man, if I throw the slingshot on, I'm not going to really get the results I'm looking for because it's not all me. It's still a lot of you. It's still a ton of you. Again, how much did I say this helps by? 10 to 15%. So what does that mean? You're still 85% in the game, right? Sneak out that extra rep. Whoa. So there's something called rest pause, where sometimes people will rest a little bit in between. They're basically resting in between a rep. And what that'll do is that'll allow you to recover, and you'll be able to hit your next set or your next rep. So sometimes, you know, somebody that, let's say they can bench, let's say somebody can bench like 315 for a single. Well, what you might want to try to do is take about 90% of that. Take like, you know, 300 pounds-ish. Take 295 or something, and try a couple of singles broken up. So you do a single, you rest 30 seconds. You do a single, you rest 30 seconds. And maybe try like, you do that once. That would be one set of 3 rest pause reps. And then maybe you try a few sets of that. Make sure you have a spotter, because it would be a really difficult workout. But if you legitimately bench 315 fairly easily, not if you're lying about 315, then go with somewhere between 275 pounds and around 290 pounds and try a bunch of rest pause singles. You'll be surprised and shocked at how strong you can get from doing that method. There's other ways of doing it. You can shorten that rest period up. So if you were successful in week 1 with 30 seconds rest, week 2 you can drop it down to 25 seconds to see if you can still accomplish that. You know, and so on, and drop 5 seconds each time you go. You'll be, I would actually say that you would be able to probably quite easily bench your max for a double if you did that for about a month. Keep playing it over until you get to about 15 seconds rest or so. It's tough though. A lifting belt is for your back, right? Maybe not. Maybe it's also for your stomach. To utilize a belt properly, I was taught by my mentor, Louis Simmons, over 25 years ago, that to use a belt properly, you have to push your stomach into it. If you don't push your stomach into the belt and you don't take the belt up with your stomach and your obliques by going and bracing and bearing down, it's not going to work for you as well. So sometimes I've run into this with athletes that were skinnier. They had a really hard time getting anything from the belt. And it was because the guys that had the pot belly going on, the power belly, it was easier for them to express that. It was easier for them to push right into it. They were almost already set up to do that. So you don't want to put your belt crazy tight. You should be able to get some thumbs in there. I could maybe go one more tighter if I really felt I needed it. But the reason why we do that is because you have to breathe into it. And it's not just the breath in to get the stomach bigger. It's also you're pushing like down and out with your stomach. A little hard to explain, but you should be able to feel it from the sides here. So let's see. You can see, right, if I'm sucked in, you see all the space we have here, right? So I'm gonna actually do a deadlift, right? So I'm gonna go, I'm not sucking the stomach in this way. I'm gonna be, once I get that air in, it's like I'm trying to trap everything. It's like I suck the air in through my mouth, trying to get it to be down in here, and I'm taking that air and I'm trying to condense it into this little short position where I'm gonna stay like this. And that's exactly what I did. I wasn't amazing at deadlifting when I was a powerlifter, but I did get to be proficient at a squat. And a lot of that was because I could clamp down right here, and even during a squat with like 1,000 pounds, I can maintain this position the whole time. Whereas in a deadlift, I actually would struggle with that same positioning. I would actually start to get more like this in a deadlift, where I'd be rounded over more, and that air that I had in there is no longer able to support me because I'm crunched in too much. The distance between my sternum and my belly button is too short. You want it short-tinned, you want it neutral, so your spine is neutral, right? But we don't want it like that. I can't lift anything like this. and you don't want it this way either, which you see a lot of people like overarch the booty and they'll have it way out here. Now I can't take advantage of this pressurized system at all either. I literally can't feel the belt that way. So push the hips under you a little bit. And when you get that air, you have to figure out a way to pressurize it and bear down. You can even practice it sometimes in a deadlift. It's easier to breathe up here. It's easier to get your air right here, especially for those of you that are a little bigger or the belt feels uncomfortable. Do all your breathing up here. Pretend that this is your head above water and you're about to go underwater. Okay, we're not gonna be able to breathe once we get down there. So we're gonna do all the breathing here because it's harder to get situated. When I'm like this, it's harder to get situated breathing wise. So I'm gonna do it right here. Again, you practice each rep. If I can't hear you breathing, then it doesn't count. I need to not only see it, I need to hear it. This is just for your heavy lifts. There's so many different ways to breathe when you lift and when you exercise and when you practice movements. But this is when you're trying to bear down, you're trying to brace yourself for some heavier lifting. The reason why I like to make the noise is the audible of the noise. When I breathe out, I feel like it helps me to push all the air out. And I think that's a huge component of everything. I think it's a huge component in running and all kinds of stuff, is to be able to breathe out efficiently and get that CO2 out. But anyway, I like that noise because it helps me to breathe out properly. When I breathe out all the way, it's helping me to sensitize myself to get all that air back in again. Make sure you don't pass out. All right, gonna give 225 a ride right here at the end of my workout. See how she goes. Lost count, but I think I did like 18 reps or so. So you guys know I got involved in a lot of kind of fairy activities, running around and doing a lot of other exercises other than the cool ones, other than the tough ones, the bench, the squat, the deadlift. I was just thinking to myself, it's a little bit of a disservice to me to leave those exercises for too long at any one time. It's nice to have a departure from them here and there, explore different ranges of motion, get myself moving, making sure my spine is still fluid and make sure my body can still move well, because sometimes the cost of doing some of these exercises from a time perspective might pull so much time away from the other things I would like to do or explore that I don't really get to them. So I still have to manage some mobility work, some flexibility work, and working on ranges of motion I'm not super comfortable in, but I'm good at bench pressing. I'm strong at bench pressing, and bench pressing to me just isn't even close to just being like a chest exercise. Because of my proficiency at it, I feel like I'm recruiting a lot of muscle in a lot of different areas. So forearms are getting worked, all the muscles around the wrist, great for bone density, especially because I'm pretty good at handling some decent weights on here. along with obviously building the chest, and we got the triceps, we got the shoulders, and even the lats are really getting in there. That front lat spread that you see people do, it's like you can barely do a front lat spread without getting a little bit of like pec in there. So I love the movement, and it's something I need to just make sure I don't have to do it every week forever and ever, but it doesn't make sense for me to get too much distance from it, so I'm gonna keep the bench press around. The workout for today was pretty simple. Did a little bit of bench pressing, a little bit of deadlifting, did a little bit of jumping in between. Now I'm gonna finish with jumping up on this tire here. I really like this because the tire is nice and soft, and if I was to have a spill or something, I'm hopefully not going to end up with a crazy shin buster. One of the cool things about jumping, throwing, you pick up some med balls and you throw them, or you throw some baseballs and things like that, even like a shot put or whatever you can get your hands on that you can throw, especially something that's weighted. Throwing and jumping are things you can get away with doing really low repetitions of, and you don't need a crazy amount of like sets and reps and stuff like that. So for today, I'm just going to do probably maybe 3 sets of 5 reps on this. Just kind of see how it feels, I guess, first, and go from there. But that's really, in my opinion, that's all you need. And if you're jumping higher and you have pretty good proficiency at jumping, then you can even lower the reps, even lower than what I'm suggesting. One last thing I'll mention on this is that for me, this is like a decent height. This is like a medium to high height for me for where I'm at right now. But if you really want to be able to bound and really be able to move, follow somebody else. No, if you really want to be able to bound and move really well, you want to build up elastic strength with really, really small movements. And so you'll see the best guys, if you follow some of the best dunkers in the world, and you follow some of the people that talk often about plyometric training, you'll actually find that they do a lot of easier stuff. They do a lot of stuff where they're bounding and hopping around, but they'll also do a lot of stuff on one foot, which is something that I want to get to soon, but I'm not quite conditioned enough to do too much of it yet. For me, I'm just kind of swinging my arms. It's not really a great habit of mine to do a lot of that, but it's just sort of the mechanics of my body. A good jumper would be a little more upright, a little bit more in here. I should probably just keep my eyes up, probably help. Do one more, and another thing you can kind of think about is not just barely getting your feet up there, but see if you can jump a little higher than the thing you're jumping on, and see if you can bring those hips up a little bit, which is, again, a little challenging for me. But yeah, I'm definitely getting way better at that. Another thing you can work on is just some landing. People don't really talk much about the landing, but you want to try to have a nice, easy landing. I think, I'm 47 years old. I think basically when people are maybe even over the age of 35, it's been a long time since they sprinted, it's been a long time since they jumped, it's probably been a long time since they've come down from something. And I don't know, like, it doesn't sound like it would come up that much, but I've done things like where you hop a fence or you do some of these things, and when I was powerlifting, I legitimately, not severely, but I legitimately hurt myself a bunch of times just doing normal-ish day-to-day stuff because I just didn't have the capacity to do some of it. But now, just jumping down from here, which for some might feel unsafe, this is a really great exercise. This is teaching you to get used to your own body weight, and you obviously don't want to just like land on your heels and make yourself 4 inches shorter. So you try to land on the toes a little bit, pop yourself back up, and try to try to learn about your body. See if I land this way or if I land that way, how's it going to feel? And you can even get a little elasticity in the landing, so maybe you can kind of catch the landing, maybe you can jump again. So give that a shot. Try that again, see if I can go maybe a little higher. What you'll notice from people that aren't great at jumping is that they'll spend a lot of time on the ground. So for me, it might be like a 1/1000, 2/1000. Whereas if it's somebody else who's real powerful in their jumping skill, they'll hit the ground, whoop, whoop, and they'll just be able to spring right back up. There we go. So we got a big old mess over here. We got lots of different stuff over here, but we have these giant ass kettlebells, and these range from like 150 pounds to like 210 or something like that. One of the reasons why I wanted to show this to you is because this is such a simple movement. It's such a simple exercise. All you gotta do is bend down and pick it up. And for some of you that want some hypertrophy on the legs, I think just picking up a heavy kettlebell is a great, all you're trying to do is send your body a signal to grow. That's all you're trying to do. So you don't have to necessarily destroy yourself with anything, but just get one of these guys moving. Keep that tension on the quads. Whoa. Whew. How many sets of that do I need? Not a lot, I don't think, right? So I'll probably come back to the big guy and maybe do like a set with that. And that'll probably be it. Probably be it for the workout. But I don't think you need nearly the amount of work that people say that you need. Maybe if I've found for myself personally that as low as 4 to 6 sets per week per muscle group seems to be pretty effective. Now, one of the reasons why I'm saying that though is because I work out with a lot of frequency. So even though it's probably only every 7 days that I get to the same muscle group, it doesn't always work out to where it's every 7th day. It might be like every 8 days, every 9 days, every 10 days. So I'm hitting these muscles up kind of periodically, and it's maybe not the same as someone that has a real scheduled split, because I never found enjoyment in scheduling my workouts to be super specific, so I didn't do it when I was powerlifting. I don't do it now. The only thing when I was powerlifting, what was important, because we lifted as a team, it was important to all do a similar exercise for the main movement, so we could spot each other and help each other in that way. But even within that, there was so much variation. Like one guy would be deadlifting off of mats, another guy might be doing a regular deadlift, and so on. So there'd still be even some variation within that. But I've always felt that the variation is critical. I think having a little bit of play with your workout is really important. But again, I just want to go back to that point of, you're going to hear studies, you're going to hear all this information on 10 to 12 sets, you know, for per muscle group. It's like, that's a lot of work. 10 to 12 sets here, 10 to 12 sets there, 10 to 12 sets here, 10 to 12 sets here, 10 to 12 sets here, 10 to 12. I mean, it's just like, I love the gym, but I'm not spending that much time in there. And it's the same thing that goes for zone 2 cardio. I think it's suggested you do like 4 hours of it a week. What? This is nonsense, pure nonsense. I don't care. I don't even, at that point, I don't care what the research says. Like, no one can actually do that. Maybe a couple nerdy runners can figure that out, but like, nobody really wants to do that amount of work. It's grotesque. It's overkill. And just why, in the history of human evolution, why would your muscles get worked for 12 sets to failure? Each muscle just doesn't really. I understand that being jacked is like not an evolutionary trait necessarily, but to me it's overkill. The literature is overkill. The way that we sell it is overkill. A little bit will go a long way. If you can go in the gym and get in 2 or 3 sets for your legs, 2 or 3 sets for your chest, 2 or 3 sets for your shoulders, you're fucking heading in the right direction, and I think that you can make a ton of progress that way. Feels nice to jump on this thing because it's nice and soft. Just gonna do a couple drops, and then we out. These guys right here, these are the raw sleeves that we sell. It's adding a little bit of compression. A compressed muscle is gonna feel like a more confident muscle. It's gonna be a little bit of a stronger muscle. Then there's just also just some warmth here. And I've always liked the idea of this kind of kinesthetic awareness. I would say that my hat goes off to Under Armour for presenting that by wearing a lot of stuff that people would wear underneath their uniform for sports, where this technology might not, especially back then, might not have been so supportive that it was actually useful in terms of performance enhancement. However, having some stuff on that's form-fitting and that's tight and that compresses you just allows you, in my opinion, to be a little bit more in tune with the muscle. You hear often mind-muscle connection. Well, maybe I just get a little bit better mind-muscle connection if I have just a little pressure here. And if you think it's nonsense, that's fine. But think about a good training partner, or think about a bodybuilding coach. What do? When someone's doing leg extensions, they come over, not necessarily tap the knee, right? But they're tapping the quads, trying to get a little bit more mind-muscle connection. Doing biceps, someone's like, right here, you know, get right here. So I think by having this little bit of pressure and this little bit of touch, this little bit of extra feel in these areas can help kind of support that mind-muscle connection as you're going through a movement. And then plus, it just makes shit a lot safer. 3 drop downs with a jumperoo as I jump down. So now I can try to go for like distance. I think I landed about here. Maybe see if I could get closer to that crack, I guess, without jumping too far out in the beginning. If you can gamify these things, sometimes you can make them a little bit more fun. Same spot, total failure. Felt good though, that's the key. This is also building up my feet a ton. You know, doing this barefoot and landing on these hard surfaces and trying to absorb the energy, the 220-ish pounds. Not the same. Not bad though. Just taking my time, getting just a little leaner and leaner, and still no negative consequences. I still feel really good getting in this shape, and energy wise, I don't feel like there's a dip. It probably will happen at some point, but I still would like to. I was 222 this morning. I think I'd like to be around 212 and then kind of re-examine from there. 215, somewhere in that neighborhood. Well, there you go. These are getting to be pretty good. Some side stuff starting to come in a little bit. There's, like, depending on the time of day, there's some veins coming through the stomach. And so just little by little, but what I'm learning is that by taking my time this way, there's really nothing to recover from, and there's really nothing to refeed about. Because I'm not so depleted that I need like extra food or extra nutrients. I don't feel like I need a cheat. And I think that's what I'd love to see more people land on in terms of their nutrition. I would say if you fast, and if you're on a diet plan, and or, you know, either one, you fast or you're on some sort of diet protocol, or even you're on like low carb, if you end up binging, then it didn't work. So if you're on a tight diet Monday through Friday, and then Friday night you lose your mind, and then Saturday it bleeds into that, and it bleeds into a little bit of Sunday, your diet's not working. And it's important that you address that. It's important that you understand that. And it's okay that it's not working. It's not a crime or anything. It's just that you have to reevaluate. You have to say, you know what? Maybe during the week I'm robbing a little bit too much of myself during the week, and it's costing me later on. Because it shouldn't cost you like that. Having pizza Friday night sounds great. Good idea. Get right back on track Saturday, Sunday, so that you actually start your week on Saturday and Sunday the way that I do. A little cheat code. All of that makes sense. You had a little reprieve from the diet. You took some time off, took a couple hours off of your diet. Makes a lot of sense. But if your diet is so restrictive that it's leading you to situations where you lose control, because remember, why are you dieting in the first place? It's because you feel that somewhere in your life you're out of control. You don't have good self-control in this spot, and that's okay to be that way. Because over time, you're going to learn to have better and better self-control. Consistency looks like shit in the beginning. It's not, you're not just all of a sudden going to, you're never, ever going to start on Monday and have it be this like linear thing that goes really well. Because that mindset of starting on Monday and that mindset of getting in better shape by Christmas or getting in shape by your wedding or getting in shape by the summer, that mindset itself is so flawed because it doesn't make any sense that you only want to get in shape to that and for that. What then? Where are you going to go from there? Those strategies, even when they do work, someone goes from 260 to 220 in a short period of time, and they feel great, they look great, super pumped, they accomplish what they wanted to accomplish, but then the wheels fall off after that because they didn't have a plan on what they were going to do later on. I say it time and time again, and I'll say it again here. It might be your first time hearing it. If you're trying to lose weight, it has to be like you're stealing sand from the beach. If I stole a bucket of sand from the beach every day, no one would notice. It wouldn't hurt anything. It wouldn't cost anybody. Well, maybe it cost somebody something. But it's very low amount, right? No one would really notice that. And I think what we do when we diet is we rob ourselves of way too much sand. We take away way too many calories. People say it's simple. It's calories in, calories out. There's something like that. The energy balance, yeah, it matters. But how the fuck are you going to make anything work if your energy in isn't good? How are you going to even have energy out? Anybody ever think of that? It don't make no sense. Anyway, I'll finish on this. World Carnivore Month is coming. I want you to join me. I'm not going full carnivore. I don't even care about going full carnivore. But I'm going to do what I've always done. I'm going to eat meat. I'm going to not eat. And then I'm going to eat meat again. So don't eat meat, repeat. Eat meat, don't eat, repeat. Do it over and over and over again. And if you want to throw in some fucking fruit, go ahead and throw in some fucking fruit. If you want to throw in some fucking vegetables, throw in some fucking vegetables. And if you want to cheat a little bit on a night to have an enjoyable pizza with your family or have a beer, fucking do it. Don't worry about what class you're in and what grade you're going to get. It doesn't need to be 100% because even if you go 100%, you're probably going to be fucked up the next month. You're probably going to mess up. It's probably going to be something that's not going to be sustainable. I've been eating this way for a really long time. On and off ketogenic style diets, not off diets, but on and off ketogenic style diets since like 1995. Early adopter, you might want to call it. I've been eating meat, I've been eating eggs, I've been eating protein and fat for almost ever. And the only thing that I was missing that I didn't know too much about, I didn't realize that fat, the amount of fat that I was eating wasn't allowing me to make the progress that I wanted. So I had to lower that over time. But protein leveraging is real, so that's why I suggest eat meat and then don't eat. If you're not hungry for meat, you're not actually really hungry. You have what I call fake hunger. Eat meat, don't eat, repeat. Just keep doing that over and over again. You might be like, what is he? I don't understand what he's talking about. If you get yourself hungry enough, you'll be hungry for a piece of meat. Make sense? Hopefully it starts to make some sense for you now. Because the things that you're hungry for probably have nothing to do with food. A Reese's peanut butter cup, those little tree ones that come out this time of year, around Christmas time, Even though they're delicious, I hate to break this to you, it's not real food. Potato chips, not real food. Pretzels, not real food. Those little fish things that the kids eat, Ritz crackers, all these things. All this stuff that you buy for your kids even. It's not food, parents. You need to start to not eliminate, limit, and pay attention to how much of that your kids are eating, how much of that you're eating. It'd be great to just get rid of all of it, but I don't know how realistic that is to do in today's world. Strength is never weakness, weakness never strength. Catch you guys later.